Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to Pull Focus, the cinema-based entertainment podcast. Almost forgot.
Wow.
Yeah, right?
It's been a minute.
It has been a minute. Where a couple freelancers come together to talk shop. My name is Mike. I know it's been a while, you guys. And as usual, I am joined by an incredible individual. Master of cinema, education, casting, all things movies above and beyond. Mr. Robert Andrus.
Thank you.
Andrus. What's up, boss?
Yes, the applause is necessary for my ego. Thank you. Thank you for the applause.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Canned response. I love it.
Hey, I have it programmed so that I can make them laugh. I can make them clap. I can do all kinds of things.
All of it. I need all of it right now.
Yeah, for sure. For
do
sure.
it. It is me. This is me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, no, I love you too.
Well deserved. Well. Another.
Stop.
They're standing up.
Stop.
I can't. Everybody, please calm down.
Just sit down. Sit down.
Okay,
we'll
thank you.
get into it.
Everybody.
Thank you.
That was like the worst. Like, admittedly, that was the worst intro I've ever done because I'm still like off of balance.
Yeah, no, you were thinking about it.
I was
like
really
hard.
It. It's like, wait a minute, what am I doing?
I love that you just owned it though. Like, this is me. This is what I do.
That's it.
Whatever.
Well, that's why the 3.5 people, 0.5 people that listen to the podcast regularly are still listening to us because of that brand of humor.
I wonder who they are.
I want to find out.
Like, if you're one of our listeners, will you please just let us know who you are, so we know?
All three of you, please.
I love it. Thank you.
Is it like a book club? Do you guys?
It's got to be.
I hope so.
It's got to be.
But that's one thing that we revel in. Another thing that we revel in, everybody, just to remind you, because I know it's been a while. Hey, you know what? We got through the holidays, we got through the fall, we got through a couple of things. And unfortunately, as time comes, life kind of gets in the way every once in a while, and people have work, people have all kinds of stuff they have to do. And, we just take a break once in a while.
People have life.
People have life. That's right.
That's deep.
That's so...
That is my gift to you all. People have life.
I do feel a little bit off balance because for the first time since we started this podcast, I actually feel that I'll be able to get a decent conversation. I mean, like,
hang on.
The last episode
we've done a one-on-one.
You're right. We've
done a one-on-one
with Hereditary. You're
yeah.
right. I'm just not used to having that recurring feeling of peace, tranquility, overall calm.
Yeah.
I don't understand why.
I don't know why you're so zen either.
I don't either. I'm so much more calm now.
Where's
for
Bert?
some reason. Oh my God.
Oh, come on. That was the worst improv.
I know.
To anything that was terrible.
Let's address the huge, cheerful, somewhat annoying.
Well, I do like how you actually introduced the show couple, rather than few.
Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly.
good job.
I am.
You set it up.
I'm commitment centric.
Commitment centric.
Yeah, I am about establishing relationships and being vulnerable, being honest.
I'm sorry that I laughed at that. I just checked myself.
I'm so glad you did.
I'm very sorry I laughed.
I'm glad you did.
All right.
Let's address the huge embarrassing elephant in the room that for some reason still has some tact when he's pushed to do so. Ladies and gentlemen, we're taking a moment.
Wow.
We're taking a moment to honor a man? No, to honor a friend, a colleague, an equal, Mr. Umberto Estrada. Reverb.
That was nice.
It's a new board. Huh?
Yeah. Can you do that one for me? Because you know how he usually gives you a quote?
Yeah. You ready?
I got one.
Here we go.
There can be only one. There you go.
I love it.
There can be only one Bert.
There can be only one Bert. So, guys, as you may have noticed a little bit, because we're making it completely apparent, Bert, unfortunately, is not going to be able to join us for this episode or for many other episodes in the future. And that's because, again, life is getting in the way. He has, when I do the tagline, freelancers that come together and talk shop, that's absolutely what it is. I mean, I could use a little more brushing up in that regard, but Bert is a working cinematographer, and Robert is your everything, pretty much here in Salt Lake.
I do a lot. That's true.
because of like pressures that come through, and also because it just wasn't as fun as it may have been when we first started, and also mostly because Bert doesn't need a podcast as a reason to hang out with us, unlike me, who is completely antisocial and I have anxiety when it comes to people that I consider friends and everything. He's not gonna.
Again, I'm laughing.
I know.
It's not because I'm laughing at you. It's because
laughing.
I get it.
Yeah, I feel you.
I get it.
I feel you. Bert's not going to be able to, get on the horn with us as much. He will be missed, of course. The reason as to why we started doing this with him is because we love him and we love his opinion, even when we don't agree. And it doesn't mean that he's never going to be on again, but it does mean that he's not going to be on as much because, again, things are just getting in the way. And we talked about it, and things are completely awesome. And now we have a whole new reason to go out of our way and still hang out with him. So it'll be
well, and I guarantee you, when he listens, because he's our fourth listener. Or maybe our number one listener.
Maybe our number one.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think I need to change that. He's our number one listener.
Exactly.
And so when he listens and he comes back for his special guest appearances.
Exactly.
Then yeah, there's going to be a lot said, I'm sure.
At that point, it'll be
especially about this intro.
Exactly. It'll be like the Bert podcast. It'll be like, after we're done recording, hey, you know what? That was really fun. Maybe I should come back into it. It'll only work if like he's the center of attention.
Is that how that's going to go?
Exactly.
Is that really how that's going to go? Really?
I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Like 8 months from now when he decides to come back.
Let's mark this one and remember what we said.
Very good.
For sure.
Then he'll just like fucking make fun of me about it later. That'll be good. But anyway, we love you, Bert. Don't worry about it. And don't worry, guys. You are missed. But we will see you again soon. And it's going to be super dope. So guys, back on track. The wonderful Robert Andrus and the wonderful, myself. We're going to be going through and
don't
talking
negate
about
that. Don't skip over that. Just say the wonderful Robert Andrus and the wonderful Mike Juarez.
Thank you very much. I did like you better than him. I mean, let's put it out there. I'm going to be completely honest.
Wow. Bert, where are you to defend yourself?
Not here.
I kind of like me too.
I do.
Yeah. There's that. I like you. I like Bert.
I like having coherent thoughts.
I like people. I do. I like people until I don't like people.
Well, you know who doesn't like people is one Mr. Buster Scruggs, and that's what we're going to be talking about this evening, guys.
Is it Scruggs or Scruggs?
Oh, it's Scruggs. You're right. There's an R in there.
Yeah, there's an R.
Excellent.
Yeah. Just pointing that out.
Starting it off from great start, but. The latest Coen Brothers movie, the one that was a Netflix exclusive, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Can we really call it a movie?
That's a great point.
Let's not call it a movie.
Anthology.
Let's call it
the latest
collection.
Well, like
anthology.
That's a good question.
I mean, it's literally. I thought it was a movie.
Have they done something like this before? I think everything that they've done that's come to production has always been like one coherent.
Well. On a compilation scale, as far as release it as one contained entity, I believe this is it. But I mean, like Black Mirror, we're going to talk about Black Mirror.
Right.
Every episode is in its own. It's its own episode, but it's in the same universe.
And
is
then
that what we're saying?
And you guys will definitely be able to see the Coen Brothers universe played out in all of these little these little.
The theme certainly is Western.
Absolutely.
Right. But how many?
4 or 5.
Yeah, I know. I can't actually think of the actual number.
We're going to find out.
I think it's 5.
Let's find out exactly what.
Count it.
Let's see if the preview does any justice in regards to whether all 6 or 8 or whatever small anthologies that make the Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Well, and here's a really critical point that I wanted to bring up is I didn't even know it existed until a buddy of mine said, "Hey, this is the best cinematography I have ever seen."
I'm right behind you.
Well, and I don't know if he said it. I'll pull up the message, but the only reason I knew about this is because of a social interaction saying, "Hey, check this out."
Word of mouth.
That's
interesting.
It is.
All right, let's take a look at the preview. Just starts off already.
Well, of course you have to start with James Franco.
Yeah. Just a horse in a trench coat.
It's beautiful. But is it a film? I don't know if it's a film.
So I'm the distractor with a little story.
Well, by definition, I mean...
People can't get enough of them. Because, well, they connect the stories to themselves, I suppose. And we all love hearing about ourselves. So long as the
trailers,
people in the stories are us.
Yeah.
Wow.
But not us.
This'll tell the tale.
New York Film Festival.
I'm Buster Scruggs.
You're right, Scruggs.
Appears to do, yes.
Do you have anything to say before sentence is carried out?
Sentence? What's my sentence?
It's a sweet switch. The editing on this trailer is really good, too.
Things have a way of escalating out here in the West.
My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings.
That man is a wonder. Well, we'll just have to see, won't we?
Crazy business.
First time.
Let's look at that cast, too. Jesus.
First time. Yep.
That's insane. So the trailer does a really good job of being able to go through different cuts and really encapsulate what this quote-unquote movie really is. But that's a great point that you put out, Andrus. It's not really a movie by definition. It's an anthology. The Ballad of Buster Scruggs are, we have to double-check, 4 or 5 smaller skits.
I was trying to count. Yeah, I was trying to count, and I counted 4, but I think it's 5. I think I'm missing one in the count.
It carries out all these different... 6, okay. All these different tales come out that have a couple of things that come into that have in common. Life and death, the whole story theme, one person's story being told through different perspectives, and the fact that it's a Western. I mean, overall, all of them take place in the West, but all have to do with like cowboys and Native Americans and, gunslingers and that kind of thing.
I love that you just did that.
Yeah.
That was funny.
But in common Coen Brothers fashion, they take the tropes that we all know about, the general Western. You have different stories about, the guy who can shoot, different stories about people on the prairie, different, romance and that kind of thing.
Right.
And it's instead of, I think the Coen Brothers were genius in this particular way, and one of the reasons as to why I like this film is because they take all of these kind of these exclamation points that we think about when it comes to Westerns. I mean, all Westerns have to have X, in my opinion. And they took all these out and were able to use those as a way to tell 6 different stories that were different, but all had the same theme. And it really glued together in the right way. Did you feel that same way, or was it like something different for you? How did you interpret it as it was coming through?
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I just think that...
Took me long enough.
Right. Good grief. Just spit it out, man. I like that it actually says an anthology film comprised of 6 stories, each dealing with different aspects of life in the Old West.
Yeah.
Right? It was interesting. I don't know how to qualify any of it. I don't know how to talk about any of it.
It does leave you off balance. It leaves you off balance a little bit.
Like watching the trailer, I feel like the trailer was a complete movie.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Yeah.
It's introduced as a new movie, the Coen Brothers' new movie.
Right.
Right? But it's 6 separate stories that don't necessarily connect to each other.
You don't think so?
Well, I think they're in the same universe.
Right.
I don't see where the connection is, and maybe I'm missing that. Maybe I didn't pay enough attention to it.
I hear you.
But does Buster have anything to do with James Franco?
No.
Anything to do with a hotel at the end?
No, it doesn't. No.
Anything to do with the boy in the cart?
Nope.
Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just interesting to me that that I'm still struggling with calling it a movie.
A movie, yeah.
Right? And I think that's going to be my biggest critique the entire way through.
I think
that's an advertising misstep for me, because it's a false advertisement.
You're coming in, you're expecting something, but that's not what you're getting.
Right. Like, and granted, if I read that logline,
okay,
I would have known what I was getting into.
I feel you.
But I would still want more of a connection other than the West. because that's the only connection for me.
So that's a good question, though. I mean, like that. I mean, a good point, though, because
do they all take place at the same time?
Do they all take place in the same state or whatever? Do these people know one another? There's no coercion in between.
And
each
maybe if
chapter.
I read the script, then it might be more clear.
Well, I don't think that was the point of the film, though, but I understand completely where you're coming from and why it would leave you off balance, because people who get the message that new film by Coen Brothers, especially Coen Brothers fans, they are expecting something that's going to knock them off balance, but they are expecting an encapsulated story. This isn't that. This has 6 different sections. It's like a novel of short stories being put together.
Yeah.
And when you have something like that, I mean, obviously, because that's what they wanted to accomplish, you're not going to be able to have, well, maybe you could have a character that's going through all different sections of the story, but then it isn't an anthology. It isn't separate collections. It's a story about this one person, this one character.
There isn't a narrator tying it all together either.
Totally.
Which would have been something that could be said about making that.
They could have advertised this a lot better.
Whatever. Ultimately, I do think that the theme is there. I think it is life and death.
Yeah.
In the West.
Yeah.
So as far as like an overall theme, I get that. And I enjoyed...
which one was
I
your
just
favorite?
did a little head cock there. I enjoyed all of them, but I was also trying to figure them out at the same time. So it was more of a...
Do you find yourself doing that with Coen Brothers stuff more so than other directors? Because Coen Brothers always...
I would have to double check myself on that and go back in time because I'm not sure.
I always get weirded out by their work. Like, that's part of the fun, too. And it's one of the things that pops up from time to time, regardless of...
Will you pull up all of their list of movies really quick? Because I know that I'm going to be missing a few. So, for instance, I just saw the Hail Caesar caption there.
Uh-huh.
I enjoyed it thoroughly. I wasn't trying to figure... Well, okay, that's not true. I was trying to figure it out in moments.
Yeah.
But...
I mean, I can only speak for myself. But
I was just enjoying it thoroughly the entire time. Because I always have an opinion of that genre of filmmaking.
Well, yeah, back in the old days where like it was still like all technical. Like when did I never saw Hail Caesar. Did it take place like during the 50s and the 60s? I mean, we're talking like old Hollywood, like Sinatra Hollywood or something like that, or...
Shoot, I'm probably going to say this incorrectly, but I would say even earlier.
Okay, wicked.
Yeah,
that's one of the reasons though that I do like the Coen Brothers. I never know what to expect. It's been like that ever since Lebowski. And when they go back and talk about like how the different kind of themes that come together, the same themes I think that come together in the 6 short stories in the ballad has the same kind of nihilistic kind of turn for him. Okay. The one thing that you can depend upon always is that, you know, ultimately everybody's going to die. And does that mean that nothing really matters? And you have not nihilist. You have like those characters like coming up in Lebowski. You have that same thing coming up like in like the villain for Old Country for Old Men. You have like these characters that come up and they say, okay, there's 2 definite things are going to happen. You're going to live and you're going to die. And if you know that, if you really accept it, then not a lot matters. Like, you know, bad things happen to good people. And that definitely carries out in this film, this anthology.
Bad things happen to bad people too.
Yeah, that's the thing. It doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's 2 types of people.
Yeah.
Ferrets and beavers. Ferrets.
I thought you were going
People are like ferrets.
Yeah.
That it stands out. I love that. People are like ferrets. That was my favorite.
Well,
I have to say the very last one was my favorite. What was the title on that one?
It was the I
wish I had it in front of my face, but
The Mortal Remains.
Thank you.
That was the last chapter in it. Which actually, you know what? Why don't we?
But here's the thing.
About that?
Okay, I will say I genuinely enjoyed all of the clips.
Yeah,
I can't count. Apparently, there's 6. But as far as how they did it, why they did it, I don't know. But how they did it, thoroughly enjoyed it.
Big fan. Well, let's go into that then, because some of the scenes that popped up were the reasons as to why we liked this movie so much. This is really, really good. We might as well go for the best for last. I liked the other ones as well, but I want to knock this one right out of the park in regards to this. So what we're going to do now, let's talk about that scene, because in the last snippet, in the last chapter, the Mortal Remains,
Part 6,
we have this really, really spooky kind of situation that's popping up. And I have some theories.
Was it spooky?
I thought it was.
Okay.
And I think I'll be able to
well, I think that's an implication, but I don't know that it was.
I feel you.
Yeah.
Let's move over to it, and then you can decide for yourself as to whether or not it's something that puts a little chill in the back of your spine.
And Clarence does the thumping while the detention is on me. He's very good, this one. You should see him. No, he's good. I can't thump. Mr. Thorpe up there, a typical case. I told him the story of the midnight caller.
There's the sparkle.
Yep. The mustache is ridiculous.
Someone is outside. Someone is outside. No. Don't open it, Mother. What living thing could be out in such a storm? You know the story.
Oh, Jesus.
But people can't get enough of them, like little children. Because, well, they connect the stories to themselves, I suppose. And we all love hearing about ourselves. So long as the people in the stories are us, but not us. Not us in the end, especially. The midnight caller gets him, never me.
Jesus.
I'll live forever.
That's what everybody thinks.
I must say, it's always interesting watching them after Clarence has worked his art. Watching them negotiate the passage.
Passage?
I'm getting goosebumps right now watching this.
From here to there. To the other side. Watching them try to make sense of it as they pass to that other place. I do like looking into their eyes as they try to make sense of it.
Psycho.
I do.
This is my favorite part, where we get the close up of his different eye lines. It's so great.
To what?
Yeah.
I do. All of it.
What of it? What of it?
And do they ever succeed?
Oh my God.
How would I know? I'm only watching.
Fuck you. Okay, so first of all,
so
fuck that guy.
That's great. That's terrific.
So that is awesome. So when we go through, that's a really good example of what I think the Coen Brothers were trying to establish in regards to all these different chapters that popped up for the movie. Mm-hmm. This particular one though is different because
he's got a ghost story.
It is. It absolutely is. But in like the main definition of the term, because what a lot of people believe when it comes to the literal kind of stuff that's happening in this particular chapter is that everybody in the stagecoach has already died and that they're being transported over to the other side. And that the Englishman...
When you say everybody...
Yeah.
Do you mean you?
No. No, I'm on the outside watching it, man.
Or do you mean everybody?
Okay, you're trying to freak me out even more now, and I do not appreciate it.
No, not at all. Not at all. I was just trying to clarify because I did not have that interpretation whatsoever.
I kind of fell into it. Like,
Did you?
It didn't click for me until I read a little bit more about the film and like the different interpretations and stuff. But what I think is happening in this one is that everybody in the stagecoach also... Sorry, guys.
Spoiler alerts.
Right.
Thank you.
Spoiler alerts.
Should have done that at the beginning of the podcast. But if you haven't seen The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, stop right now. Otherwise, we're going to spoil the entire
everything.
movie.
Just go to the end.
Yeah, exactly.
And then watch it backwards.
Exactly.
Or watch it however you want. It's up to you. It's on Netflix. Do your own thing.
So we're going to go and cut this up just a little bit because I think both of you and I agree that this is probably our favorite chapter out of the movie. And what I think is happening, and again, I didn't come about this until I saw some other reviews for the film, was that everybody in the stagecoach, it's a Western, you guys. Everybody in this last chapter is a stagecoach and they're going somewhere. I think everybody in the stagecoach has already died. And in the dialogue, the Englishman and the Irishman, that's the name of the characters that, let me get the actors' names that are
well, Brendan Gleeson is the one.
He's the Irishman.
He's been a fan of mine for a while. So.
Yeah.
He's been a fan of me for a while. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much, everybody. Oh, roses. No, you shouldn't have.
Yeah.
But
me have been his fan. Me.
And that's another thing we should talk about as well. The cast for this film is ridiculous, but I don't want to get off the subject too much.
So good.
In this last chapter, I think that everybody in there in the coach are souls being brought to the other side, and they say in the dialogue, the Irishman and the Englishman.
I totally get that.
They say in the dialogue that they're reapers of souls.
Yes.
So I think they're grim reapers that are taking people to the hotel, or that it ends up being purgatory.
Sure. And how it absolutely ends, and everybody's hesitance to
the very end of the scene, they're terrified. They're
I don't want to say
terrified.
move on. I want to say move forward.
I like it. Rest in power.
No, I understand that it could be thought of that way.
Sure.
I had my own interpretation.
What
of
was
it.
your interpretation of it?
Literally, I thought that they
We're just going to a hotel and it's spooky.
No, because of his story. Well, okay, there was a couple different things that I thought of as we were going through.
Okay.
Right. The first of which is, I thought that while he was telling his story, as far as, oh, I distract you.
right.
Like, I do the show and he does the thumping.
Oh, that he was going to kill him.
That he was going to kill him.
Oh, man.
Right?
I love that. That's great.
It was a great setup for that. And when that didn't happen, I was a little bit let down.
I feel you.
But I was along for the ride at that point.
Well, these movies always keep you off balance.
Right.
You never know what to expect from the Coen Brothers because they're not afraid to.
Right.
They're not afraid to kill the main character.
Exactly. Yes, as we found out right away.
Exactly.
Spoiler.
Sorry.
Chapter 1.
Anyway.
So, the other thing was, as soon as we were introduced to the coachman, I thought it was going to be a headless horseman situation.
Oh, sure, like death or something like that.
Yeah, set up for the scary ghost story of what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I can absolutely see why everybody thinks that it's a ride of passage. I can totally see why people think that, but that's not something that came to mind at all while I was watching it.
It's one of those situations, though, I feel, where it uses some really interesting and tried and true Hollywood tropes throughout the entire film.
Sure.
I honestly think that because the Coen Brothers are fans of Western, I mean, like everybody else, like I mentioned before, they like specific things about the Western genre. And this is their chance to go out and say, hey, isn't it cool when guys are great with, shooting guns? Isn't it great when we have ghost stories like On the Prairie? Isn't it great when we have people who hit it big in the Gold Rush or something like that? It's going to be another scene I'm going to play for everybody.
Right.
And then encapsulate all that in this idea of, regardless of how good or bad you are, you're still going to... Everybody has the last day they wake up or something like that. And I think that's one thing that really kind of makes me a fan of the Coen Brothers. Whenever I watch their films, regardless of it being, a fantastical tale or not, all of the characters feel like they're mortal to me. When I'm watching some other movies like,
I didn't feel that with Buster
really?
At all.
Really? Okay.
No.
Well, was it because he had the harp and he was going to heaven afterwards, or was it? He was pretty invincible.
No. All the way through it until
it actually happened.
Until it actually happened.
I gotcha.
Because he was so accurate.
He was really good with what he was doing, wasn't he?
He couldn't miss, right?
Right.
But then his arrogance, of course, got the best of him.
Well, it's one of those things that pops up from time to time, too. Like, some of the best Westerns in the world are about how the guy who is on top, the best shooter in the West or whatever, gets bested. And that's what happened with Buster Scruggs in the first chapter of this movie. I'm going to play another scene. It's another one of my favorites, but it kind of shows another thing that I really do enjoy. The Coen Brothers are not afraid to be violent, and they're so good at building up to the violence. Let me pull this up here.
Man, it's their scant chance of misadventure. I'm out. Well, this is well timed. You gentlemen mind if I take his spot?
If and you play his hand.
If you play his hand.
It's great. Oh, Jesus.
Not a bad hand.
Just look at it.
It is too late. You have regarded the cards.
You seen him, you play him.
I ain't Annie.
The other hombre emptied.
Jesus.
You seen him, you play him.
I want his voice. There can be only one. That's a Highlander joke.
It was.
Just so that you guys know.
Thank you for catching.
You're welcome.
Play them cards, fancy Dan.
Can't no one compel another man to engage in recreation. Certainly not a son of a gun as ill-humored as yourself. And as for names, my horse is Dan. I'm Buster Scruggs.
Buster Scruggs? The run from Riata Pass?
Oh, shit.
And this pistol.
The piano player.
With the cigar and the mustache.
From Riata Pass, which is in the county of San Saba, being the which why the San Saba songbird is my sobriquet of preference. But right now, I'd appreciate it if you'd deposit your weapon in the receptacle by the swinging doors. which concealing of it on your person in the first place was a violation of the rules of this establishment and an offense against local norms.
And if I don't?
Jesus One would have been enough.
Exactly.
We go for 3. I love it.
See, that's the thing. That's the beauty of it. So when we go through and we talk about this, we should talk about how this is going to act as a narrative, too. Because we have a film, an anthology or whatever, that's entitled The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. The first chapter, for lack of a better term, is about Buster. But it's also the only chapter that's about him.
Right.
So I think it's great that the Coen Brothers went through and they did like a bit of a rope-a-dope here when it came to the narrative of the film. We do know it's going to be an anthology, but to your point, it's also been described as a film, and the title would lead to that. But it's brilliant that even though it is an anthology, like the first chapter is going to be about the quote-unquote main character,
right?
And then it gets thrown right out of the garbage.
No, it does. It's
great.
Like, and
exactly, totally changing subjects, or are we? You know. And the beautiful thing about this scene is that meticulous dialogue by the bad guy, which is a constant in all Coen Brothers movies, is going to be put up first, and then we have this great scene of violence where unarmed, again, the quote-unquote main character of the movie kills this guy with his own gun.
Well, you don't need arms when you have your legs.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
You're
wow.
welcome. He didn't even flinch with his arms.
That's true. He just had to, kick the table a couple times and he shot himself. So what is the pacing of this film then, right? I mean, we have all these different subject matters that are encapsulated in the same genre, but we have these slow bits and we have these builds and we have these really quick violent bits. But the thing is that one thing that always has made me a little uncomfortable about Coen Brothers movies is that they dedicate themselves to that particular mood of the narrative so deeply. Like before, it turns on its head. You have this guy who has this amazing speech about being meticulous and obeying the law, and 1 second later he's murdering this guy with a floorboard, with a table board or whatever.
Murder's a stretch for me because he was absolutely defending himself.
I gotcha.
He wasn't armed.
But there were others there in the previous scenes. He went into like the camp and he was shooting guys, and he didn't. Well, he was defending himself in that one too. Actually, that's a good point.
If you want to look at it, I think that he just defends himself the entire time.
Yeah.
Well,
except for the duel,
verbally,
right? Exactly.
Verbally defends himself. Whether or not it's an antagonization or not, or warranted or not.
Did you ever find the action like erratic a little bit? I mean, throughout this entire film, that's one thing that knocked me off balance.
The action erratic,
right? Like we have like this guy who's in here, and the scene's beautiful.
Was there any gunplay in the Liam Neeson bit?
There was not. No.
Was there? There was in Tom Waits.
Yeah, there was. He got shot in the back.
Spoiler
alert! Spoiler
I know.
alert!
There was not at the Mortal.
There was not.
The last one.
The Mortal Remains. No.
Mortal Remains. There was with James Franco. There was with Ballad. There was.
Well, it's a Western. You're
going
to have people shooting each other. But.
Right. The Pioneer Trekkers.
Right.
So no, not
maybe it says something to like all the media
really.
Maybe that says something about the media that I digest. Like I'm used to like if someone's standing up in the middle of a room when they're saying a speech, I'm not really expecting them to go about and kill the guy who has a gun in their hand that second later.
Yeah, for me.
But the flow is good for you.
Yeah, for me because each one is its own. Again, it's not a movie.
Yeah.
They're their own short films.
Exactly. We're watching a film festival right now, and it's just made by the Coen Brothers.
No, right.
Okay. I can respect that.
It doesn't feel like one cohesive bit. So, all of the off balance that I felt was due to the beginning and ending of every vignette.
So the fact that it was cut in 6 different pieces was because, again, do you think that's like the fault the way it was advertised? I mean, because it was, like you mentioned a good point. It is a movie, but we're not expecting, it to be, we expect it to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it does, but it has like 6 of them.
But it's 6 of them.
Yeah.
Right? It's like a Lord of the Rings.
Maybe that's one reason.
Return of the King. I'm like, how many times do you have to end this? because it caught me.
Great. No,
it really did.
Yeah, no,
walking
Lord of the Rings
into it
syndrome,
because
for sure.
Yeah, like I really didn't. I didn't do any research before we watched it. We just pulled it up, and it was on.
Well, that's what we do. We find things that we think are interesting. We're like, let's do this.
So then I was thinking, okay, well, if I look at each individual story, I liked each individual story, some more than others, because some resonated with me more than others.
Yeah.
But is it one cohesive piece?
No way.
It still is not.
Yeah.
So does it have 6 beginning, middles, and ends? No.
No.
It has 6 stories. Each of them had a beginning, middle, and an end. But I mean, as far as
it wasn't cohesive.
No, not for me.
Even like their own little universes. Yeah, I can respect that. That's probably one reason why on IMDb it's got a 7.4 out of 10 after getting over 54,000.
Yeah, 54,000
reviews. That's crazy. This is definitely one of the. That's another thing we should talk about because this is definitely one of the lower scored, for lack of a better term.
Really?
Yeah. It did get some accolades here and there, but when it came to the general review of the Ballad of Buster Scruggs, not as high as the majority of the other Coen Brothers movies. And I think it probably contributes is because of the nature of the piece, like the way that it has like these abrupt starts and endings. That come
so it's great. Can you pull up the poster for me?
Absolutely.
I like that it actually has.
Oh yeah, it has like
all 6 ideas of what this storybook is.
For sure.
Which had I seen that before, that would have prepared me a little bit more for it. But yeah, that's interesting. Huh.
It's interesting, though, how we go through and we were expecting...
Well, I just accepted whatever it was.
Whatever it was going to be.
Do
you think that this is going to... Because of the fact that we have this at home in Netflix and it wasn't like a theatrical release.
I'd love to see this in the theater.
Really? Why?
Totally.
Why?
Totally.
Because it would just...
Visually.
Yeah.
Audibly. Like, I mean, the whole theater experience. I'd love to see this.
Let's talk about that too, because that is one thing that I did notice about it.
I enjoyed it at home. I enjoyed it on my phone.
For real.
Because I did. I watched it in your home, and then I watched it on my phone for the rest of it, of what we didn't do in the first session.
And that's another thing they dedicated to about it being the Western genre, right? Westerns are known for the countryside being another character. Like, and this is
opening
big sky.
Opening up with the Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Absolutely.
And the visuals that we got with that one.
Ridiculous, right? Because it's one of these things where
the Pioneer Trek, the James Franco bit, all of them. They were so great.
The cinematography in this film was
beautiful.
Regardless. If only we had somebody who was specialized when it came to being behind the camera that could add more into that.
No, I think this is the way it's been the entire time. Just us.
But you're absolutely right. Like, and that kind of like does give me that's definitely something that I keep in mind when it comes to the pros column of this entire movie. Like when the Coen Brothers went out to make a Western, they know film so well that they understand the kind of things that we're expecting.
They made 6 shorts.
Absolutely. But they all had like those same kind of characteristics in them because they were honorable to the genre, I think. And Big Sky, Big Country was definitely part of it when it came to these wide zooms.
Not the last one. And that's my favorite.
Not the last one. Yeah, that's a good point.
The last one was a digital world.
It was. And they had lightning on the outside and everything.
Yeah, I don't even know what they did with that last bit. I'm wondering if that was even a practical...
Like on a soundstage.
Location, or if it was a soundstage.
Yeah, why not?
Like a soundstage.
That was one thing that you mentioned before too. Like that was definitely one of the more. That one I could see like being put in the theater. You know, that being like a really kind of practical.
I would literally watch that entire scene as a full movie in the Stagecoach and just enjoy it.
And they used like I mentioned that before. They used like old cinema tricks that were honestly appreciated. We talked about how we had that in the when we were fast forwarding the movie, we saw like all these different scenes popping up where like the lighting was so bright and nice in the beginning.
Right.
But then if you're on the Netflix timeline, you can just scroll through and you see the lighting turn.
It was so beautiful.
It was great. So great. It went from like all these orange and these bright colors to like these dark blues and purples because again they're under the freaking underworld. I mean, I don't know if everybody believes that or not, but that was something that contributed to the overall momentum of the film.
I took it literal as night and day.
Okay, wicked.
Yeah, you know
it was moonlight, right?
But even still, beautifully done.
Really beautifully done.
Beautifully done. Now, it's interesting too because they say it like 2 or 3 times as far as the coachman never stops.
Yeah, exactly.
I understand that concept a lot more now as far as
as a connotation that comes into play with it.
Correct.
And that's another thing too. I mean, even though we have these different things that pop up and these different themes that we are, we're familiar with when it comes to watching other Westerns and doing this and that, it still left you with a lot of capability of being able to understand, to write in the dotted line a little bit, right? You had the capability of being able to say, well, what if these people are this or that? What if it isn't? Mm-hmm. What if it's a situation where where we're not only dealing with regular Western tropes, but we're dealing with maybe some things that have come up when it comes to a greater dialogue with what these guys are trying to push through. There's life and death. There's struggle. There's evolution. There's all this other stuff that comes into it.
Sure.
Bert would be saying that I'd be reading into this a little bit too deeply, but then again, Bert was 90% wrong whenever. He challenged me.
He will challenge you again.
He will. Yeah. There's a lot you could interpret. You could interpret a lot for this film more than just being a Western.
Well, you can do that with any piece of art.
Yeah, but so much more in this. I think the Coen Brothers have, I think, a really great way of being able to have like a message behind the message.
One question that I was going to ask you while you were doing your last speech was, is it a ballad all the way through? Is every vignette a ballad?
Absolutely not. Good point. I don't think so.
Okay. Which ones are?
That's a great question.
Scruggs is?
Scruggs definitely is.
I think the last one is.
The last one is, and definitely the one with the
I think Tom
meal
Waits
ticket.
is.
Tom Waits is, and the one with Liam Neeson, the meal ticket. That one's the one.
And the meal ticket, right? So that leaves James Franco and the Pioneer.
So those happened in... Okay, so you're saying maybe that was the way in which they were able to handle the momentum of the film. They had different kind of breaks.
I think so.
I mean, theater does that.
But,
plays do that.
Right. They had an intermission.
Right. Get your snacks.
And if you want to talk about your beginning, middle, and ends, I would say that they were bookended in that sense.
So you think there was more like a macro kind of ideal when it comes to anthology?
Here's the thing, because how many characters are in the James Franco one?
There's James Franco, the bank teller. We have like maybe four to six guys in the...
Not really. You just have the one.
The leader.
And then,
okay.
And then everybody else is kind of a day player type.
For sure. They're NPCs.
But really it's you've got what you think is the good guy, what you think is the bad guy, what you think is the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens at the end?
He dies. Well, we didn't...
You got somebody with his image.
Right.
Looking over first time.
Oh, I
think
feel
that's great.
Yeah.
But... I don't know if that's a ballad, is it?
I don't think so, no.
I don't know what defines a ballad.
Well, I think what really has more of us being on the side that it would be a ballad or not is that in the four that we chose that we believe would fall under that kind of description, more so than the other chapters, they have a beginning, middle, and end in a way that I think is easily digestible. We have, oh, you know what? Maybe not. See, this is why This is where Bert would like throw the book.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know that any of them are
a ballad. Then why the hell is it called a ballad?
Anthology a ballad? I don't know, and that's what I'm saying is we need to decide what the definition is.
We don't know if this is a movie or not.
No, I still don't say it is.
Let's go on to another scene.
I still say it is not. Let me say it accurately. It is not a movie. It's a compilation. Short films.
A compilation that involved a lot of different.
Beautifully done, by the way. Thank you for sharing your art.
Yeah, for sure. And but it came through with a lot of different subjects that were able to go through a lot of different veins of storytelling while still being encapsulated in the genre. And this next scene that we are going to play is.
I want to be there right now.
Yeah, totally.
Like this image, I want to go to that location.
And also,
seriously,
the subject matter.
I've been to that location.
Really?
Not literally. Okay. I think but.
Like some of these scenes had to be shot in Utah, I think, or like somewhere like definitely around the Midwest neighbors, Wisconsin, Montana, for sure. Some of the natural forests were definitely used for production.
Let's call it the West.
All right, let's move on.
I know I'm accurate with that. Let's call it the West.
Somewhere in the world, this movie was shot.
No, we can call it the West.
Okay, we'll call it the West. It was shot in the West, and one of the best scenes I think that was pushed through was somebody who is known for being very familiar with the West. Mr. Tom Waits. We're going to see him act a little bit in this one right here. Jesus.
I love that I laugh. It's terrible. terrible.
You're freaking me out. Oh, damn.
Just to make sure.
Oh, give it to him, Tom.
Let me do all the work. Shoot me in the back.
Do you know what's so great about that?
What's that?
His speech right there.
Yeah.
I think that's
the fact that he used measly skunk
that's
as
literally,
an insult.
Well, not just that. I think that's a literal description
of what that person
of what anybody would do in that context. I did all of the work.
Yeah.
And you shot me in the back.
Yeah.
And that's all he says. You shot me in the back. You shot me in the back. You shot me in the back.
Oh man.
And then he realizes that he can deal with it.
Yeah.
It went clean through. Nothing important.
How would he know? He's not a doctor, or is he?
How dare you,
dare
sir?
he
How
diagnose
dare
himself?
you? See, that's one of the things too, because I don't know if Tom Waits at the end of that scene is crying because he's so happy, or he's crying because he's so sad, or whatever. Like
right there, that comment right there.
Yeah, honestly.
No, I think it's just a discovery.
You don't think that he may have taken he was a little bit sad for killing this guy at all?
No.
See, I got that he was a little bit sad about it.
No, not
seriously.
at all.
I heard a little bit. I heard a little bit. It might have been because the character was in, riveting pain, but I really thought that he might have been sad about killing this guy that he just had to shoot.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so because he survived.
So we're talking about
I don't think there's remorse for any of that.
Well, the guy
defended. Again, I'm all about defending
you
yourself.
And me both.
Right?
Well, and he definitely did that. I mean, he did just get shot in the back by somebody who'd been looking at him. This is the Prospector. Oh man, I'm not sure that's the absolute chapter of it, but I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah.
Of the Ballad of Buster Scruggs, where Tom Waits plays a prospector who's like in the middle of this beautiful valley,
beautifully choreographed,
really good, really good. And as prospectors do, they're always on the hunt for the gold. So he went through and he checked the river and he's like, "Oh, there's gold here," and he starts digging. And then this young guy with a gun comes up behind him, who's been spying on him, kills him to take the guy's gold.
Right.
But he survives. So this is one of those things, and this happened like in the middle of the film, the anthology or whatever, a little bit. And I think that this is really, again, we have common gunfighting violence we find in the westerns, but what's really cool about this particular chapter is that even though the majority of character counts that come up in these different anthologies, this one's the lowest. This only has the prospector, it has the prospector's donkey, and it has the guy that shot him in the back. Then everything else are all these wide vistas that come through.
You've got the butterflies, you've got the deer, you've got the
owl
eagle or
up,
owl
right.
or whatever it is. Yeah,
that owl is not union. All right, that's not appropriate to have a non-union owl in this particular shot.
Were those owl eggs? Is that what we're led to believe?
Was he eating the owl's young?
I don't know.
Who knows?
No, but what I do think, if it had to have been intentional, but the idea that man versus nature.
I like that a lot.
Everything about it says the beginning, middle, and end is the beginning as nature is nature.
Yeah.
Man comes in and disrupts nature.
And then everything's back to normal. It all comes
leaves,
back. Yeah.
And it all goes back to normal.
That's a good point, because at the beginning of that particular chapter, it's all these beautiful vistas and
right.
that dee 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 dee
happy nature.
Yeah, exactly.
There's animals.
We're watching National Geographic for a good 5 minutes, and Tom Waits, after all the animals stop doing what they're doing,
his singing
did it. He breaks right in there. They do their deal. He murders this guy. Not murders. He defends himself from being killed from this guy. He gets his gold, despite the fact he's being shot through, which is another Coen Brothers movie kind of constant. Injuries that people live through that can't be explained.
Oh, why not?
Yeah, why not? It's Hollywood. But then after that, everything goes back to normal. The animals go back to what they were doing. The owls keep a hooting. The butterflies keep a buttering. They all keep going through and doing their thing.
Correct.
And that's another kind of would you think that's a nihilistic kind of view? Regardless of the different things that kind of happen, regardless of how we live our lives and what we do, the world's going to come back. It's going to stay the same. And ultimately, what we do might not matter. I mean, I keep seeing that.
Maybe not, because he put an egg back.
Okay, so he changed a little bit, I guess.
If he took all of them,
he may have died.
Well, the owl may have died.
The owl may have killed him. The owl may have had the gun and shot him in the back.
Extinction is my point.
I gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I certainly saw an element of industry and humanity, and man
we have
versus
those breaks
nature,
between.
man versus,
totally.
all of that. But I don't know that it goes that far.
I gotcha. I think that it's one of these situations where, again, and one thing that I do find refreshing about the Coen Brothers is that there's always this, like I mentioned before, there's always the space in between the lines that you have to fill in a little bit when it comes to the movies they make.
Fill in a lot.
Yeah. But it doesn't feel like with this one, this is the first time that I ever felt like I was beleaguered to do it. But I kind of enjoyed that. Yeah, because I was thinking about well, why doesn't he just do this or that? Or why do we have these different characters? Why does the young lady shoot herself in the head? And there's a reason why. But
you're talking about all of them. I thought you were talking about the specific.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's like the situation where Coen Brothers movies leave me unbalanced so much that I find myself wondering, well, what if A and B happen instead of C and D? More so than with other media that I digest.
Okay. So then is that life?
Yeah. And I think that's
is that what you're saying?
I think that's a message you're trying to push through, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of constants in life, and everything else you're kind of like writing in between the lines and, hoping for the best.
I didn't get burn after reading. I didn't understand that one at all. Talk about off balance. That one's the most off balance.
We should do a Coen Brothers special on this one.
Yeah, maybe.
Like this could be like the spark that starts the fire. We could do another project like we do with The Godfather or something.
But I will say, as far as I don't know that this one was the one that I liked the least.
But it wasn't the one you liked the best, though, right? It
wasn't the one that I liked the best, because I think I liked the last one the best, and then I think I liked Buster. I think the one that left me the most off balance was the Pioneer track.
The one with the young lady going through the Oregon Trail.
And the dog.
Okay, now why was that? Why did that leave you off balance?
I don't know.
I love it when love when that's the answer.
I'm trying to think of that, but I mean, I got the rest of them, and that was it.
Yeah.
Just how it opened,
It did kind of like
it went in the city, and then it went on the track, and then it ended the way that it ended.
Right. Am I dealing with a love story here? Am I dealing with like just another Western drama kind of thing? Is it going to be man versus nature? Women versus nature?
I was off balance
because the lady lost. The lady lost in that one.
Dude, I gave her so much so much. I gave her so much throughout the entire viewing process of what it was to end the way that it ended.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, well, go to hell.
Yeah.
You screwed me. Thank you very much. Go to hell.
You wanted these two to end up together,
no,
and they didn't.
Well, not even that, because I didn't understand why he felt the way that he felt about her. I thought that she was a master manipulator the entire time. I'm just like, oh, she's playing everybody. Good for her. She's like the original Black Widow. Good for her. She's really doing it, right?
Why don't we play the scene though where we actually find out the true colors and the culmination of that chapter? It might be a little long because I'm kind of forwarding.
Off balance.
For sure.
So off balance.
He's the monkey, and if I shoot him, well, that's bad medicine, and I think they'll all lose their spit and light out. Anyway, we're gonna have us a good fight.
Oh, here they come.
I didn't understand him at first, but I loved him at the end.
Yeah.
I thought it was perfect.
Just the old frontiersman like defending himself and trying to help the people that paid him to get the job done.
And like all of the gunfire going around him, and he just doesn't move. He just stands his ground and shoots.
From a production aspect too, who doesn't want to shoot this, right?
Oh, seriously. Seriously. I love the whole comment. That's great.
How is the saddle helping him? I mean, really, if they have guns too, how are they not?
It's for him to lean on. Pop him up a little higher than normal.
Yeah.
No, it's perfect.
Oh, they got his horse. That sucks.
Doesn't matter.
So the Indians retreat then, and we have like these two main characters. One of the characters is the old frontiersman who's helping these people on the Oregon Trail. He looks back. He's at their way out. Is out of it. And these Native Americans are coming down the hill, and they're going to try and kill him. Oh, man, I don't like this one. Oh, poor guy. Yep. the Coen Brothers are not afraid to shock people when it comes to this stuff.
That wasn't shocking. I thought that was Mercy. That was beautiful. Yeah, that wasn't shocking at all.
I'm an auditory person, so like the sound of it kind of like freaks me out a little bit.
No, well, I get that.
They ain't gonna do this all day.
Standing right there out in the open again.
Yep. So let's go over and talk about like what happened into this, because I'm going to be fast forwarding back and forth, and the next 20 minutes is going to be us watching the scene. It's a long scene. So what happens in this final chapter, you know what? I forget the name, but I'll have the name of all the chapters in the description below, guys. So don't worry about it if you want to, like, you know, acclimate yourself and find out what the heck we're talking about. Also, we'll have the IMDb page in the description as well, so you guys can do a quick reference if you want. But what happens initially at the climax of this particular chapter in the ballad is that we have this frontiersman and this young lady who's a love interest of one of the other characters that we have in there, and they're getting attacked by Native Americans coming down the trail. And the frontiersman tells, I forgot the character's name, but he tells the young lady that, look, if things get bad, then here's a gun. You're going to take one of these bullets and you're going to shoot yourself in the head, because what's going to happen if you live is going to be much worse. We think that he's going to lose the fight. He ends up not losing the fight, but by the end of the story, we find out that the young lady, still thinking that the frontiersman was, you know, dead and couldn't defend anything and whatever, that she was, you know, about to be, you know, taken by these bad guys, quote unquote. She ends up killing herself, and that disappointed the hell out of me, because I'm a romantic. And I wanted there to be love on the frontier. And it didn't happen.
Yeah, for me, not at all. Not at all.
Don't applaud that.
No. Do you know why? Do you know why for me it was not at all?
Go right ahead.
Because I didn't care.
What?
Yeah.
Come on. You didn't care about her at all?
What did I say earlier?
You said
I thought she was manipulating the entire thing. No, I didn't care at all.
But dude, you're alone and you're a woman on the frontier. You got to do what you got to do.
Hang on.
Okay. Easy. Hold up.
Who did you identify with?
I identified with the frontiersman, the old guy, and the main character, the heroic lead. That was supposedly, of course, because I'm a dude and I want to think I'm a good guy, and then I can, shoot firearms.
And I think that's
horses.
exactly what the idea behind that is.
It's a rope-a-dope,
right? Who is the lead of this film?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
As far as the storytelling goes, who's the lead? She is.
Yeah, absolutely. You're
and
right.
What did you say at the beginning? They're not afraid to kill the lead. Right?
I love that you have an amazing memory. Thank you. You're right. You're absolutely right.
So, I mean, as far as the context of what this is, she's the lead.
Yeah.
Which is why I was so curious as to where she was going to go with it.
Yeah.
Which is why I felt so off balance with it.
So you think they wrote themselves into a hole, and maybe
I gave her way too much credit for being an intelligent person, because she was literally then that oblivious.
Yeah. So
that innocent, that naive, that whatever.
That's
why I was so off balance with it.
That's great. That really makes me happy, because I understand
completely.
No, it does. I understand completely where you're coming from.
She's irritating for me.
I know, but I see your point. You think that she might be manipulative. She might be just trying to survive. So you would think that in order to do that, she's the smartest one of the entire group. But then again, you see this poor lady believe, all right, how is a strong character killing herself at the end? That's the big question you have to ask yourself. And it would leave you unbalanced. I get that. I absolutely get that. You would expect her to survive. You would expect everybody to die, and her to be the one who wins. Her to be the one who uses the power of her intellect and her manipulation or whatever to survive throughout the journey.
There were so many things that went through my head during that one that I would to try to rationalize what I'm watching and what I'm seeing.
I think this one probably confused me the most, for lack of a better term.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's why I'm saying this is my off balance one for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the dog.
Oh my! The dog was the red herring. The dog was
for sure. But at the end,
yeah, it was to give her a reason to be out there, to be alone.
She's also the owner of the dog.
Yeah. Right. So you're like, oh.
No, do you know what I mean?
I do. You're right.
She denies it the entire time.
So
when does the dog shut up? When it's in her hand.
I thought you just didn't like her because she's a dog person, which I can completely relate with.
No.
Okay. No. But do you think that's a hole in the narrative? Do you think that they?
No. I think it was intentional. I think because most stories of the West are about the man. I think that because they put an attractive lead in there.
Yeah, totally.
And there was a familiarity to him, and I looked at him. I'm like, I have no idea. Right? I mean,
it's Clint East. Who? What?
Yeah, no. But
I remember.
I think he played it so perfectly,
really perfectly.
I really do, because he was trying to be the stand-up man, the John Wayne of it.
But he's also like, oh, what am I getting into?
No,
here?
but he's an idiot about it.
Yeah, you're right.
You're
right.
Literally, he wants to defend her. And to do right by her,
and being the
and
audience,
there's absolutely no reason for him to do that.
And you realize as the audience, you're like, dude, you're being fucking manipulated right now. How stupid are you?
No, the entire time.
Yeah, the entire time.
The entire time.
We talked about that like on the night that we watched this. We're like, who is that actor? Because he did a really good job of just mastering the subtlety of the character, like when his heart got broken, or not when his heart got broken, but like when he was like wondering if he's like, oh, should I do this? Should I? Because he asked to marry the girl, the lady, before they even get to the end of the trail.
I just think he channeled every dude. That's what I'm saying. I think he channeled what we go through as far as trying to figure out what the right thing to do.
What do you want?
Well, what do you want? What do I want? How do I approach this? What's the right thing to do?
Am I being an asshole?
He even talks about the other guy being like, yeah, he does his thing the old way. I'm going to do mine the right way.
You're talking yourself
the
up
new
about
way,
it,
whatever. The old guy
doesn't give a shit. He knows his job and he's doing what he's doing.
Let's talk about how the way it ends.
Yeah.
He joins the train again.
He joins the train again and goes right back
fine.
to it. So we're talking. So what's happening with this chapter
lives.
is specifically is that they're on the Oregon Trail. It's a lot of people from a lot of different places who are going to settle in the West, and this guy is hired to get these people over there. Something that he's done dozens of times.
Yeah,
and he ends up being
Trail Master. Is that what it's called?
I think so. Yeah, Track Master, exactly. Or Trail Master. Trail Master. And he ends up being absolutely. He ends up being the secondary lead in the story. When this entire thing
he's the
ends.
love interest. You can say that.
Yeah, sure.
For sure. He's the love interest.
This is about a romance between two trail masters braving the West, ladies and gentlemen.
No,
it isn't. No, it's not.
No.
But we have like this really cool situation where instead of like rooting for the couple, rooting for like this thing that we've seen before, we have this well-learned guy who comes up, and the biggest problem that he has is telling his partner that his love interest is dead. But everything else, there isn't even a question. It's like, all right, well, I'm going to fight some Indians now. All right, well, I'm going to get back onto the trail. All right, well, I'm going to get all these people back to the West again, as I've done before. It's my job. I mean, that's respectable. I mean, I respect the old dude, the old trail master, more so than like the main like male love interest in this particular chapter. Right. But still, it's a clusterfuck. It's like, what? That's not how it's supposed to happen.
It's
like tired narrative, tired, like uninteresting film would be everybody makes it okay to the end. They kill the bad guys, and the young lady.
Well, the romantic in you wants the love story to survive the end.
No question,
right?
But
and then you get somebody in here saying, now if I die, they're going to do really bad
things to you.
So
exactly.
You better put a bullet in your head.
And she ends up doing it.
I think that's perfect.
It is really good.
It's great.
It's really smart filmmaking.
I think that this one now just became my favorite. No, it did not.
No, it did not. But
there's something to be said about, like, as far as the love stories, the whole idea.
It's
of
smart
it being
filmmaking.
A love story segment.
Yeah.
In everything else that they did, I don't know that anything else was a love story.
No, it wasn't. But that's because
is that accurate?
That is accurate. But it's because it took they dissected the Westerns as a genre,
right?
And they used
and they found 6 ideas.
The Coen Brothers believe that Westerns are made of these 6 things,
right?
And now we have a nice little isolated trip into each of those particular parts that make a good Western movie or whatever. So let's move on to then like the general opinions when it comes to what we always talk about. Bert isn't here, so we can't talk about the cinematography or the camera work specifically.
Because it's amazing all the way through. No, all the way through.
It absolutely
and
is.
he would absolutely talk.
He would absolutely agree
big
with it.
Time,
You're right.
I think
so. Like the big wide shots of this. I mean, it's to be expected in any good Western at least. This is big sky country. This is old country. We have the plains coming out. We have the different mountains popping up in different chapters. It's amazing what they're able to do.
Okay. Sorry, I just thought of something.
And what's that?
Tim Blake Nelson, I love you. I do. I kind of wanted
Oh, he was the one who played Buster, yeah. The actor who played Buster Scruggs.
Yeah. Do you remember Briscoe County Jr.?
No, I don't. Oh, yes, Briscoe County Jr.? Yeah, I do, absolutely.
I wanted Bruce Campbell to be in this one.
Oh, my God!
As Briscoe.
That'd be great.
Because there was such a nostalgia
for
in
real.
how they opened it up.
Links in the
Briscoe
motherfucking
County.
description. Holy crap. Absolutely.
No, it's wild. It's wild. But just because I'm a huge Bruce Campbell fan, and Briscoe County Jr. was a quirky, like, comic western.
But also, kind of like in the same vein as this was.
It was.
Were you kind of seeing the similarities between that and this as you were watching it?
Only with the relationship that Buster had with his horse Dan.
Yeah,
you know what
absolutely.
I mean?
Yes, I do.
And that's a theme through a lot of westerns, is the man and his horse and the relationship they're in. There's a lot of trust there.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
I mean, sometimes
talk about mean sidekick.
Absolutely.
Right?
Right.
So, it's a I love the fact that that they love the people that they work with and they want to hire them again.
Yeah. Put Bruce Campbell in there. Come on.
Bruce Campbell's pretty good too.
I respect where you're coming from. How about the acting? What do you think, Andrus? We have a huge cast. The amount of talent in this movie is ridiculous.
So I will say I don't think they made a misstep anywhere. I think the casting was terrific.
Yeah.
With the exception of me. Thank you for laughing. No, I mean, literally.
Yeah.
I am trying to think of different people to put in different roles.
Yeah. Well, being a casting director, you have to run into that.
I could.
Yeah.
I would love to see Ed Harris in here.
Absolutely.
I would love to see Dennis Quaid in here.
I'd love to see Samuel Jackson.
I would love to see Sam. No,
not really. Really, not at all. Even after like the Hateful Eight stuff, he can handle himself in a western.
No. It's not that. It's just like if I were gonna put him in one of the vignettes, I would put him in the last one.
Totally. Yeah.
You know what I mean? In one of the talking pieces for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe even perhaps the Liam Neeson one, because Liam didn't say
anything. That's true.
Until later. I was wondering if he was mute, and that's why the other one was talking so much. But
Nicolas Cage could have been put in this easily. Going back to stars of previous Coen Brothers movies, I would have loved to see him in this. Quite honestly.
Yeah, Tim Robbins. Come on.
Tim Robbins, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
No question.
There's so many directions to go with it, but just as far as Western affiliations, I would have loved to see Kevin Costner or Robert Duvall.
Yeah.
But that's also really big star power for what's going on in these vignettes as well. I love the old timer that they got.
Absolutely.
Et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, no question. It's a very strong cast, and when you're dealing with
what do you do? Casting.
That's right.
This, you know what I mean?
That's right.
I thought they did a terrific job.
Think about that though. That's something that really kind of speaks to you at a particular level, because the amount of challenge that. What if you're the casting director for this? It's like, oh, another Coen Brothers. Okay, well, that's already hard to begin with. But no. It's actually going to be 6 smaller movies put into one movie, and we need separate casts for each one.
So here's the thing, too, right? Literally, they sold this with Tim Blake Nelson.
That's true.
Right?
You're absolutely right. Yes.
They really did.
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing.
You don't expect him to be like the hero of the first one.
I know who Tim Blake Nelson is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you?
I do, yes.
Okay.
But
does anybody else?
No.
And that's what I'm going to say.
And that's a shame.
Is if they've seen Coen Brother movies, they know.
Yeah.
Right? And I think because of their namesake and his namesake, but what they don't have is they don't have Brad Pitt. They don't have George Clooney.
Yeah.
They do have James Franco.
They don't have Emma Thompson either.
They do not have Emma Thompson. They have James Franco.
That's true.
And they have James Franco. And they have James Franco.
Exactly.
And they have James Franco.
I feel you.
Whatever. They do have Liam Neeson.
Yeah,
that would be the other one that I would say. They have Liam Neeson.
In case you guys...
Neeson, I'll kill you.
That's the reason as to why I didn't have any speaking parts in this particular skit. In case you guys are wondering, we we're saying that these are all Coen Brothers tropes, but these, not tropes, these actors you'll be able to find in Coen Brothers movies, none of them are the lead in previous Coen Brothers movies, and that's because they're not big names that are going to bring a lot of people into the theater.
Well, and I think
doesn't change the fact that they're immensely talented.
No. Like, from start to finish, I think everybody was really perfectly cast.
Yeah, totally.
I really would. The only fact that I brought up Bruce Campbell was because I wanted to bring up Bruce Campbell.
And I respect that. Nostalgia. It's a beautiful thing.
But I think that if they wanted a little bit of fanfare in there, they could have certainly put in Josh Brolin.
Sure. Yes.
They could have put in, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Get John Goodman back in there or something. He'd be great in this.
Why did they not?
Yeah, good question.
You know what I mean? Why not Francis?
Why not? I mean, we know why. It's because, like, time scheduling and, like, money or whatever. I mean, that's what happened.
Sure. They used Tyne Daly in the last.
Right.
And I think Tyne was amazing.
Absolutely. No
Do
question.
not get me wrong. It's a very different project if you put Francis in there.
Totally. No, I respect where you're coming from.
But Francis is also on the award spectrum.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you use that to your advantage?
And that's something that you have to think about.
And I don't know why. But, again, Tyne, you killed it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just one of those things where there's so many political ideas of what you do with casting as well.
As an actor,
I'm not sure what they're thinking.
Do you think you would have gotten hyped up about this from like a really a time kind of situation? Because you're on a Coen Brothers movie, but you're only there for a couple of days to shoot one of the vignettes. It isn't like you're going to be like booked for the next 3 months or something like that, or however long it might take to make.
So here's the thing with
No Country for Old Men or whatever.
with certain filmmakers, with certain movies, with certain anything.
Yeah,
you do it because you want to do it.
Totally, no question. But how sweet is it to like get in there for like 3 days? It's like you still get a Coen Brothers credit, right?
I'm just saying.
I got you.
Call me for anything. I will be there,
and you'll do a good job too. From the sound perspective, westerns I think are kind of like my least favorite
the
genre.
Guns, the horses,
the
wagons,
see,
all
that's
that
the thing.
stuff. What
I'm a huge fan of being able to have a lot of paint on the palette. So when we're dealing with things like sci-fi and fantasy and that kind of stuff,
so many things
you
everywhere.
can do with.
Yeah,
with westerns, the authenticity is so necessary. It's like, oh, Jesus.
Cloppity clop.
Also, it is kind of like, it's a lot of Foley for sure. And also I'm just a sucker for laser beam sounds anyway. But when you go through and you check and see how important sound really is, I really think that, short from like having like an actual musical that's been adapted for Hollywood or whatever, I think westerns are probably the next most important thing where sound is an absolute necessity to be tight.
Why is that? Why are you saying that?
I think that when you go through and you're watching a western, at least from personal experience or whatever, I've watched my share of westerns. Because there's definitely like there's from a creative aspect, you can really have a lack of action where it isn't going to take the focus away from the sound. If you're dealing with like action movies are something that kind of comes into play because you can have all these different elements that are coming into it, and people can for a second or two, more so than in a western or like in a drama, they don't necessarily are forced to pay attention to the sound as much, which might just be me. I get lost when it comes to like, the action movie. I'm more into like the visual. The fantasy and sci-fi, I'm more into like the visual. It's like, we have these aliens kicking each other in the face. Whereas in a western, the majority of shots you're going to have, man or woman versus nature, and you're going to have to be really, really articulate when it comes to how specific and how realistic the sounds are going to be in that particular case. Because
Absolutely.
If you have a panning shot, which happened a lot in this, with a guy on a horse and he's just sitting there walking his horse like in...
What sound do you use?
It's a good question.
Right.
But I mean, you're going to obviously you're going to have a lot less from a palette when you're going to have like, action, fantasy, adventure, that kind of thing. But because of that, because there's less elements that are going to be popping into your eyeballs, you have to pay that much more attention. Because when you have less white noise, for lack of a better term, that are popping up in the theater, you're going to have much more responsibility to be tight and on tact. And I think and not just in sound, but like in everything else. And I think westerns really encapsulate the need to be really tight on your game, despite the fact that you may not have as many elements to, show people.
So for me, the sound, I'm with you as far as it needs to. There's a critical element to its effect in my watching experience and my believability and understanding where they are. As far as this goes, I bought every moment of it.
Totally.
Completely.
Totally. Well,
I think they did a terrific job as far as every single outdoor scene. I felt like we were outdoors. I felt like it was not modern time. I felt like it was set in the era that it was meant to be.
Absolutely.
And I mean, did we get the scream? Why?
Yeah, exactly. No,
I don't remember if we
didn't.
did. We didn't, right?
I don't think so. No. I'm trying to find who did the sound design.
There's a specific scream. I can't remember it right now, but I thought the sound actually really brought me into it.
Yeah,
it really did. And is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
that there was a positive effect of that,
absolutely.
or you didn't really
think about
appreciate it.
The analogy that I come through is like you look at a group in a room, right? Like a lineup in a police lineup or something,
right?
And when you have like films from different genres, you're going to have less people or more people in that lineup, so you're going to be able to pay attention more to those specific elements. I think Westerns fall into that category because, again, when compared to like, action films, when compared to like fantasy or adventure films, when compared to like, even documentaries and that kind of thing, there aren't that many elements that you can use to realistically portray a Western. You have the big screens, the big shots of the sky and the backgrounds coming up. You have at most, half a dozen actors that are popping through. Then everything else has to be filled in with the sound.
So are you saying the fewer the elements, the more difficult it is?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is one reason.
And I'm following that.
Yeah.
So.
Which is one reason why when you deal with like revolutionary, very interesting films that came up with, we had lots of films that made use of silence very, very, very intelligently. Sure. It's that much more risky for the sound.
There's
design
no
team.
sound in space.
Exactly.
That's what you're saying.
Kinda, yeah.
Okay.
When you have less to look at, that makes those things that you are looking at that much more important.
Sure.
Sure. But it's gonna come up. It's gonna come up a lot with like different kind of genres that come through and pass about. And honestly, it all depends upon your own personal
battles
taste.
are silent.
Exactly. You can't hear the asteroids. Never mind. It doesn't matter. Would you? Oh my God! Would you say that people should see this film? I mean, not only like technical people that could learn something from it, but also just
visually, yeah. Yeah.
To your point that you made before,
sound
it'd be
design,
great to see this in the theater.
Sound design, sure.
Yeah.
Acting wise, absolutely.
Absolutely, no question.
I mean, like there are so many reasons where this is relevant to watch it for any reason within the arts.
You work harder trying to find reasons as to why you shouldn't watch it. Like, maybe the story's a little disjointed, or maybe
do
it's
our
like
opinions about it truly? I mean, are we inspiring you, our three listeners, to go watch this?
Let's not forget,
because we know that the three of us watched it in the same room. So true. There's that. There's that.
Let's remember too that the only opinion that really matters is that of one Umberto Estrada. Jesus Christ.
We did that.
Not bad. All right, guys. So going through, then I think it's really safe to say that if you want to get not only a masterclass in filmmaking, as to be expected from most Coen Brothers films, go and check out at home The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Or rent out a theater and play it on Netflix on the theater.
Please. It's something that we should look into once
I don't know if you can do that. That's cool.
Once all the sponsor checks come through for our podcast, we're going to be able to do whatever the hell we want. Oh, wait, we have sponsors? No,
3?
Exactly, right?
3 human beings.
Hey, man.
Each give us how much?
It could happen. We could start a Patreon. We can make this work. But anyway, guys, if you are interested in being part of the conversation, or maybe we should join a Patreon of some sort, let yourself be heard. PullFocusPod@gmail.com. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on SoundCloud. And, if you think that we're doing a good job, let us know. If you think we're doing a bad job, let us know. We're still going to be watching movies and spending time together and do what we can to make the world a better place. But as always, remember, we may be wrong, but it's your job to tell us. Thank you so very much, guys. Bye.